Yeah.
I've got Messi in Miami that I bought thinking it was real and it turned out to be fake. I've got
Man.
Hello and welcome to the American Soccer Analysis Show. We're back. We've had our little break. We're 5 games into the MLS season. There's a lot going on. Hopefully, you've been enjoying the expected own goals episodes on the ASA feed. I know I have been. The start of the NWSL season has probably been crazier than MLS. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Doing just fine. Happy to be talking. A little bummed about the Rapids game, but I'm getting over it.
The funniest part of that is that you don't have to specify the game. You
No.
can just say bummed about the Rapids and it still makes sense.
Well, I may have a few more things to say about that at the end, but
So straight, did Maxwell break his nose? Is that what I saw?
Oh yeah. His nose was just
Okay,
clean break
so
right on the bridge.
let's
Yeah.
talk about this now because I missed this because I was choosing to watch other sports. What happened to
Reasonable.
Maxo and why were people so mad?
So I'll just walk through the play then. It is 96th minute, I think, at this point, maybe 95th. There is a long throw in coming into the box from the right side. Maxu goes up, a bunch of players go up. A Houston
This is a
player,
Colorado throw-in, right?
This is a Colorado throw in going towards Houston's goal. So Houston's defending right now. Maxu goes up, a bunch of people go up, and just, a Houston player has his arms out, trying to stay balanced, take his space. Maxu goes into his elbow, immediately goes down, hand up, holding his face, holding his head. There are about 10 to 15 more seconds where the Rapids players are actually circulating the ball. It's still goal dangerous opportunity. I don't think it's on them to kick it out. It should be on the ref to blow the play dead because of a head injury. They cough it up. Houston takes it the other way. We have Abubakar and Rosenberry going back to be the only two defenders. They get schooled because there's just massive confusion. Brad Smith scores. There are many, many opportunities for the ref to blow that play dead, and he elected not to, and was pretty obviously regretting it in the footage afterwards. And I'll just leave it there.
And it's like the game was finished very shortly after, like within 30 seconds, right?
They kicked it off and blew the whistle. It was the 96th minute on like 6 to 7 minutes out.
Because Ben Olsen went up to Chris Armas afterwards and was like, I am so sorry. Like, he's apologizing to Chris Armas. Like, that's a rarity that I see, like, a coach. Like, he wanted no part of that bad decision by the ref.
The worst part about moments like that is like the onus is not on the players to make the like decision about someone else's safety. Like, to an extent, like, yes, you are responsible for the safety of those around you. That's why endangering the safety is a red card or foul or whatever.
But it's not on the players to kick the ball out. The ref,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
on the ref. It's their responsibility because the players have competing interests. They want to score. They want to win.
Yeah, and the really awkward thing is, like, for the referee, when you let the team who's like in possession like get their chance at an attack, you feel like you have to let them counter the other way, which is kind of the worst part. And yeah, that's a tough one. Harrison, how are you feeling about the Sounders? We haven't talked about the Sounders much this year.
There's not a good reason for that.
How are you feeling? Because I saw a lot of people really upset about the Sounders this weekend. And
well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be upset, right? Like, you get really excited that you score a goal, and then you turn around and you give up the go-ahead goal and lose the game in the same 90 seconds. That feels bad, man. It feels bad. And I mean, the other part of it is they're not even that healthy, right? I think they only fielded like something like 16 players away in San Jose. So they've really, really struggled. And even the 16 players that they had, right? I think Rusniak was dressed, but was basically like, we're only going to play him if it really comes down to it. We absolutely need him. So that feels bad, man. But like Danny, Danny scoring goals,
Your
being on
boy, your
the
boy
being on the far.
Masovsky.
Masovsky, man, like I was so excited to see him. Like it was a bad goal. I like it was a low percentage chance. Like the way that buildup was, a header from inside the box. It was good. It goes to the far. From a tactical buildup perspective, that's probably what they want to see. But those type of chances, right? What 5-6% over the course of a game? You just want to consistently see that type of stuff. But it was really cool to see him put that together and to score. I think you're going to see a lot more chances from him going forward. So that was really positive to see. Jackson Reagan getting absolutely smoked on the sideline. That wasn't great. That felt
Yeah.
bad. Yaimar getting left in like absolutely no man's land on the way back. Yeah, apparently having a six is like a really important thing, especially as you like transition defense. So, but yeah,
Listen, that is the level of tactical insight our fans have come to expect on the American Soccer Analysis podcast.
Defensive midfielder, maybe important.
maybe
Yeah.
important. Look, the Sounders are going to be a team that definitely comes back and pushes for the playoffs.
You do every year, every year.
Yeah.
Well, and even in the year that we didn't make the playoffs, it still came down to like the last week of the season. And then on top of that, you're going to get these guys healthy. Rusnak's going to come back. João Paulo is going to come back. It's not like you've lost them for the season. They're just having trouble, getting healthy, to start the season. And then on top of that, you also have De La Vega, right? Who's also, nursing some injuries and probably is out for what they say 2 months, I think it is, to start the season. So, I mean, those are three very important. I mean, those are three DPs, right? Those are your DPs. Yeah, not great, but is what it is. So they'll come back. Things will get better. It's just that we don't have a lot of Sounders fans that remember what it's like to celebrate to celebrate a non-great team, right? And it's not like they don't have the players to be a really good team. In fact, all the underlying numbers they show they're being consistent, right? They're positive in their G plus. So everything's there. It's just a lot of young players, a lot of injuries, and that's kind of how the ball rolls when you start the season like that. It's just how it is. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I think that I saw a tweet from Mark Kastner maybe like 15 minutes ago, who's an awesome Sounders follow, who's very funny. He was tweeting out like, here is the list of players by minutes for the Sounders last year. Look how many of these players are not playing. So that's really dramatic. I will say the not naming a full bench thing really bothers me. There is no excuse in this day and age for not naming a full bench. And I think MLS needs to, not to get all like on a soapbox here, but like, I don't think you should have to go through this stupid process of like, we're doing a temporary loan for a USL player to put a kid on the bench. Like you should just be able to fill the bench with next pro kids
players whenever you need.
Yeah. Like I don't like I understand there's reasons for it. Like you don't want to end up in a scenario where teams are stashing players in X Pro and they're playing them every game. So like
well, they already are. They already are.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not new. Like you see the problem with it, allowing that quick loan, right, to happen from Next Pro is you have teams like Charlotte, teams like Atlanta that are throwing millions of dollars at Next Pro level 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds from South America, signing them to Next Pro contracts, which is great. I'm not in any way against that. But then you're kind of like you're milking some rules and stuff.
Maybe
so
maybe you have to do a special thing where there's like homegrown Next Pro players and they're allowed move freely unlimited times. I don't know what the exact solution is, but like you should not be in a situation where you're not naming a full bench because you're like, well, we don't want to use one of the 4 call-ups on this 17-year-old.
Sure, but I think here's the other side. Here's the other side from a Sounders perspective, right? Or from any traveling team is you go and you travel with the players that you think you're going to go with, and then if something happens, like that's just kind of how things break sometimes.
Yeah,
You're not flying the entire 28-man, team
for
down there, right?
For sure.
you're leaving some kids home, you're leaving some of the players home. I think that's from my understanding, that's kind of how things developed.
Look,
I don't think that they expected a couple of those players to not be able to go.
yeah, I
So
don't know. I don't know if like 4 players pulled out in the warm up. Like I find that fairly unrealistic. But like maybe whatever they were like, we're gonna roll with 18, and 2 guys are late scratches, whatever. But it's
Well,
also
there's a
like it's Seattle
bad.
to San Jose. It's an hour and a half flight. Like it's not. I a little bit more understanding if like you're flying Seattle to
that's fair.
Miami.
That's
Like
fair.
okay,
Yeah.
but I think especially home games, like there were a few home games last year where TFC didn't name a full bench, and I'm like, what are you doing? Just call up a kid. Like they're there.
Yeah, so I
No,
think that makes sense.
that's fair.
Yeah, I think the other thing is like when the next pro team is traveling to a different location than the first team. I think
Yeah,
that is
that
probably the biggest barrier.
this is a thing that I think is like really interesting to debate. I'm a Chelsea supporter, and like Chelsea have been a team who have like not used their academy as much as they probably should have, and their academy has been very strong. Um, and there's a really great Chelsea account called Chelsea Youth who talks about like, okay, what's the balance between like you have a U21 Premier League game the same day or the next day or the day before uh, a Chelsea Premier League away game? Is it better to play the game or go sit on the bench with the first team? And like the thing that always comes out is like you can do both. Like
Yeah,
there's
I was just
nothing
gonna say
stopping
that.
you
Yeah.
from a travel perspective, especially in England where it's like you can get across the whole country in 3 hours. But like you might as well like the kid is not going to miss out on much. Like if they miss match day -1 training with the U21s because they're sitting on the bench for the first team, like it's the U21s. Like it doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but like the experience of them being involved in the match day. And okay, if they play, then they don't play the U21 game. But like if they play, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So
that should be the goal, right? Is like cool
Mm-hmm.
that worked out really well for us. We were able to leverage that opportunity for them to get experience, to understand, and to see what it's like at that level, and to start seeing the pace of the game. Because that's one of the big things that they talk about with the transition between leagues is the pace of the game, right? Things just happen a lot faster. So getting them in the game and getting them that experience, even if it's just a short cameo, I think is really important.
Yeah. Can't put him in the
yeah,
game unless you put him on the bench.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think there's just like I just wish teams were a little bit more thoughtful about how they use their next pro team players and their older academy players in relation to their first team. Like I think you look at teams like the Red Bulls, you look at Philly, like Kevin Sullivan, who is 14 years old. Like this is a whole thing. I don't know if you guys are like super in touch with the youth national team stuff. Kevin Sullivan is a 14-year-old who plays for Philadelphia. He is on their next pro team. He's sick. He got a lovely assist on like a crazy diagonal this weekend. He is allegedly signing for Man City. He cannot
Right,
move until he's 16.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Philly have been super deliberate about his development. So like you think about someone like that and you think about Philly developing someone like him compared to, for example, I'll use the TFC example. TFC had Noble Okello and Jaden Nelson and Jaquil Marshall-Rutty all at 16 years old in the first team. Noble Okello, they turned down a $500,000 offer from Wolfsburg, and then he doesn't play for 3 years. Jaden Nelson doesn't play for 3 years until the like they're terrible and he's just like in the deep end. Um, and then the same thing with Jaquil Marshall-Rutty, who like they had 2 throwaway seasons he didn't play, and now he's playing a little bit. So I think like I just wish they were a little bit more thoughtful about these things. Anyways, that's a lot of next pro talk. Speaking of next pro, actually, last thing, Leo Afonso, Paul Harvey flagged this up in he did
Mm-hmm.
like a G plus deep dive of the draft. I don't know if you guys saw that. Um, he did a draft deep dive talking about who the best college G plus players are, and he
Davies
flagged up,
players.
yeah, Davies players, sorry, but just like
Yep.
G plus by proxy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
of
No, it's not. Stop
As close you can
bouncing.
get.
it is officially it's a G plus projection based on event data is what we'll call it, or
Uh,
based on headline data, not event data. Um, but that flagged up Leo Afonso, from Virginia who ended up going 32nd overall to Miami, and he's got like 4 goals in 2 games. He's already made a first team debut. And it's like pretty funny that you can like just cheat and not watch any games. Sort by Davies, pick the top of the list, and your team's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
So we've played 5 games. We've played 5 games. And with 5 games means we have enough stats to do some damage, but not enough stats to be very sure about anything. So we're gonna play a little game. I gave the two gentlemen some homework over the weekend. Everybody loves homework. To think of one small sample size thing that we think will persist, that this is real. 5 games in, I don't care. There's only 5 games to sample. It's real. And one thing we think is not real, that is not going to stick around. Do we want to start with the things that won't stick or the things that will?
Let's go with the things that won't.
I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Ben, I think I if I recall, you have a good thing that's not sticking that we're all going to celebrate. Why don't we start with that one?
Yeah, folks, the dog days are over. The PRSA and Pro have ratified a referee collective bargaining agreement, and the scabs will finally no longer be scabbing. And I have a few rough, referee stats are hard, especially when the powers that be are trying to obscure how bad the reffing has been. So there's that aspect. But in week 2, PRSA tweeted out probably the key stat here, which is comparing the first 2 weeks of 2023 to 2024. In 2023, there were 2 VAR interventions in the first 2 weeks. In 2024, there were 22, a factor of 11.
That's like one a game.
Yeah.
There's what, 28 games in 2 weeks, right? Something like that.
15. 14 to 15. Yeah. 14,
so that's like 1 a game.
Yep, that's 1 a game. So yeah, that's pretty outrageous. I have it from DJ, our friend DJ at MLS Ref Stats on Twitter. He's been doing some back of the envelope numbers. Yellow cards way up, red cards way up, red cards for violent conduct like almost twice as much. So refs are not controlling games. No one is happy. Like, we have been watching some miserable soccer, and it's finally going to end.
Yeah, I'm really happy for the players who, like, I think at this point we're very frustrated with some of the officiating. Like, there were some comments out there. I think Christian Roldan said something. I think
Yoshida, I forget his first
name.
Maya
Yoshida from the Galaxy. There were a few that I think were just not great. I can't remember what coach it was. I think it might have been the assistant who was taking over for Nancy while he was sick. Was like they're trying their best. So yeah, I think that's a good one. I think, again, whatever, there's some quibbles about how good a deal they got, but I think the nicest thing is that the referees will be back hopefully by the next time we are watching MLS games. So pretty exciting.
Yoshida is amazing for quotes, by the way. He does not like bite his tongue on anything. Nope. I love it. 100%. I had skepticism about him coming into this league at 35. I'm so happy he's here. He's probably the most underrated like personality in this league.
Agreed.
He was like a super respected guy at Southampton because he was at Southampton for a really long time, and I think he did a lot of like community engagement stuff, which is pretty cool. So not surprising to see him backing a union. Fun fact, Ben, you did the same thing that I did for when I was looking up stats for this. That it's the PSRA, not the PRSA, which is like the Staph Infection Investigation Research Facility. So I kept typing in on Twitter PRSA, and it would be like staph infections are down, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Oh, so man, I was trying to sound all smart, messing my acronyms up.
If you're looking to support the referees union, it's PSRA, I believe. And if it's backwards, this is a funny story. So you'll find out when you search. But I think that's what it was. But yeah, happy to have the referees back. I am very happy that is a small sample size thing that will hopefully never persist again. Harrison, where are we at? I heard Eastern Conference, small sample size.
Yeah, Eastern Conference, small sample size. Lewis Morgan, guys. Golden boot potential. He told some guys that he wants to compete, that he is going to brother, he has 1.25 like expected
He's
goals
got
right now.
5 goals.
But he has 5 goals. There's no way. Like, it's really
It's
not.
one analytic, man.
It is one analytic. Look, he's just not creating enough chances. He's not getting into the advanced position to score. Maybe that changes. Maybe that's something that they decide. He's getting a lot of final touches. And they want to push him forward a little bit. Maybe that changes the Red Bulls tactics a little bit, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But overall, I think that he is a guy that it's fantastic to have back. He's obviously kind of a spark plug for that team. And when he's healthy, he's such a dynamic player. He's a lot of fun to watch. But the dude's not going to score 20, 22, 23 goals like they were talking. I mean, MLS, review, Weeby had everybody drinking that he's going to be the next guy out there in the league, next winger that's going to win Golden Boot. That's not going to happen unless something changes drastically over the next I want to say next 3 months. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see him continue to overproduce. He's just not taking shots unless they're gimmies, and unless he's getting 15 gimmies.
I've been like actually pretty impressed with him. He's like not going to score 20 goals. No. But I think he's been like pretty good. Like Vanzier is also leading the league in assists, mostly just by passing it to Morgan, who then shoots it to the top corner. But like I've been quietly.
Funny how that happens.
I've been quietly impressed by the Red Bull. They like put Miami to the sword on the weekend. It was like a pretty comprehensive performance.
Well, the other side is Lewis Morgan had 3 goals against Miami, right? Like,
so,
when you're 6 games into it and 3 of your goals comes against one team, it's going to be artificially inflated to begin with.
Yeah, here's a weird thing. So he like has 1 season in his career where he scored goals. He was at Sunderland or St. Mirren in Scotland, I can't remember, but he popped off and scored like 15 league goals, and I don't have any XG data for that, but a Red Bull fan that I chat with every once in a while is AZNOP. He talks about Red Bull a lot. He was saying like I guess Red Bull fans have been really clamoring for him to play more striker because they think he can be like the little man and a big man little man pairing.
I mean that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did between him and Vanzier, and like Elias Manuel has been very hit and miss. I think he's like a bottom of the league in terms of G+ dribbling right now. But I wonder if that's something they persist with as like the 2 little man strike partnership of like 2 guys who can press and run the channels and pass. I think that might be really interesting for the Red Bull, who are pretty good. That I think is real. That I think will persist. Yeah. It's not my persisting, but I think it's real.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. Alrighty. My thing that I think will not persist is very pertinent to me specifically because it's about these goddamn goalies. I need this to be true desperately. But
we'll also watch this space.
Yeah, I think that there's basically no chance that Daniel and Galese continue to be this bad. Daniel is 3 goals behind his XG through 3 matches. He didn't play, or 4 matches. He didn't play the other 2. Galese is 2.5 goals behind his XG. I'll start with Galese because he's like a little bit whatever. He's not been amazing historically. In MLS, he's like a little bit above average. He has a couple really terrible seasons in Mexico. There's like 1 season at Veracruz where he was like 8 goals behind his XG in 13 games. But he's mostly been like a between 0 and +3 guy a season. So like I don't really expect him to be a -3 guy. But it wouldn't be crazy. The real one is Daniel, who like his career is like he's an XG destroyer. He's of the games that FBref has data for, which is his last 2 seasons in Brazil and all of his San Jose time. He's 80 goals from 95 XG in 75 games, which is like nuts. Like that's really good. Best. That's Matt Turner, Georgi Petrovic level. And so I was like, okay, like it's small. I'm gonna go watch the video, right? Like this is the thing we do when you don't have enough data, you go watch video to like add more data. So I watched every single shot he's faced before we got on. Here are the goals he's conceded. And this I just want to show to you that like I don't think this is real. So we've got a corner that gets cleared to Yara Mendy, who hits a volley through 20 bodies of traffic that goes side mesh. There's another Dallas shot that goes through traffic, kind of from a bad angle. This is the one that I didn't really like. I was like, you could have done better here. Paintsill puts one side mesh from inside the box. A cutback for Jovovic from 5 yards out. Ricky Puig tap in from 5 yards out. Another volley off a corner through traffic that he gets a hand to, should maybe save, but like again through traffic. Ali Ahmed puts on top corner. A free header from 3 yards out, and a cutback from 6 yards out. And it's like, I don't know. It's fine. It's going to happen. He's going to make saves. And all of the games, he makes like a crazy save. So that's my thing. I think Daniel's going to be fine. I hopped into the like Quakes Epicenter Zoom or YouTube stream to go make fun of Jamin a few nights ago. After they finally got a decent performance, but with Daniel not in net for I don't know, he was listed as out. I don't know what for. But yeah, I think if there's any Quakes fans listening, you guys are going to be fine. On the positive side, shall we start with my positive one? We'll go reverse order.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
All right, so my one that I think will continue, and this is a little bit of a cheat one because the stats don't really say this, but their record does. Miami are going to continue to suck when Messi doesn't play and be amazing when he does. So they played 6 games. They played 3 games with Messi, 3 games without Messi. They're 2 wins, 1 draw when he plays. They're 1 win, 2 losses when he doesn't. They always play 4-3-3 when he plays. They always play 3-5-2 when he doesn't. Their metrics are actually like disgustingly similar across the two. Like they have 37 shots for, 38 shots for, with and without. Their XG difference is basically the same in the two. When you look at the schedule, it's a little bit different. Like their schedule with Messi is much harder. Like you have RSL and then you have LA Galaxy away after 3 days where like they get killed by the Galaxy. And then without Messi, it's like DC United, Montreal, and whoever they lost to this weekend.
New York.
Red Bull. So it's a little bit, the sample size is like, that's the whole point of this. The sample size is small, but I think that's going to continue to be a theme is that when he plays, they're great. When he doesn't, they're not great.
Do you think if the numbers are so similar, is it like really a Messi effect? Like your performance and your execution go up when you're next to the best player to have ever lived?
I think it is. Like it's actually really funny. FBref shows like goal minus XG by individual games, and the games Messi plays, they've scored like 8 goals from like 4 XG, but then in the games he doesn't play, they're like 2 goals from 4 XG or something ridiculous. So I do think that's like a real thing. Like I think his shooting, like he's one of the players that we're like exceptionally confident is a plus finisher. And I think his passing is definitely getting people more open than perhaps the
average MLS model play would predict.
Yeah, than the XG models without defender positioning are aware.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I thought a lot about this the last few days because their record without Messi, yeah, like you said, I'm so glad you're bringing this up because I've thought a lot about this. It's terrible. They're borderline a very bad team at times when he doesn't play, but they're going to be a playoff team. He's going to play enough to get them to the playoffs.
Yeah,
doesn't this put them in like a really good position going into the playoffs to just all of a sudden just wreck the playoffs?
So I think yeah, maybe. I think it really depends how much he plays. Because I think what we've seen from their like world tour, preseason tour, and even just the evidence so far of like game and then away game or like short rest games, they can't, like the old guys can't do it. They can't play twice in a week. It's not possible. So when we're talking about 3-game series in MLS, like can Messi hack a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday? like which is a crazy thing to say
No,
out
but
loud.
he could play Saturday and then Saturday. Like they
Yeah,
Maybe
I think
I don't know.
the game the best of three I think were also spaced a little wider
They might
apart
have been. They might have been.
than the Saturday Wednesday Saturday like
I
Leagues
think they were.
Cup
I think they were
CCC
Saturday.
Gauntlet.
I think they were Saturday, or Sunday.
I
But
thought they were like it was like Tuesday, like it depending on
it
who you
might have
were.
been. It
You
might
were
have been.
kind of in the middle of it. Well, I don't know, but it's doable.
Regardless. I
Maybe.
think
no,
it's
it's a good point, Kieran. It's a really good point that there is going to be some congestion and stuff in that three game type series. That does make it a little bit more complex to just have a team with a bunch of old guys just completely wreck face because they have a little bit more health and they let them rest. Kind of the like an NBA type effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think there's like a weird thing to think about. Like your team plays totally differently when one guy plays versus when he doesn't play. And like Messi is probably one of a handful of guys that like the talent differential with and without him is big enough that like you should do that. Um, but I do think it's like from a squad building perspective, like do you like I don't even like so for example, like let's think about the Yedlin trade, right? Like they trade DeAndre Yedlin for essentially just for cap space. Um, because they need it because presumably they're going to go do something else with that. But like Yedlin was actually a really nice piece with Messi because he's like a stay-at-home athletic fullback who can play fullback or center back in a back three. And like if you have Messi who does not defend at all, you have Suarez who does not defend at all anymore. He tries, but he's like can't run really. Like that's a
Walks down the
useful,
field.
yeah, like that's a kind of useful piece to have. So I'm kind of curious, like from a squad building perspective, um what this persisting would do. Like, do you look to add, for example, a depth attacker who can spell you when Messi can't play? Um, or is it like I'm getting pieces to fit around Messi, knowing that if we come eighth, but he's fit, we're going to run the table in the playoffs? Like, I don't know. It's just an
It's
interesting
a hard
squad building conundrum.
it's a hard job for Tatas, but even like it's a hard job like for building the squad. But I feel like like it's hard because there are fewer decisions to make and there's such high impact. Tata's got a ton of decisions to make, and they're all pretty high impact. Like when to rest Messi, how to set up the team. Like if you do you want to play Messi for 50 minutes? 2 games in a row or the full game and then rest like these are very complicated questions and I hope over the course of the year, he will not focus on the shield, but focus on the strategy for the playoffs, how to balance the lineups, how to balance the playing loads on these older players, and how to optimize the roster game to game to game to get those strings of wins when it really matters.
Alrighty. Harrison, hit us with your persistent.
New York Red Bulls are absolutely killing it in the table right now. Like forget about the fact that they are pushing to be in the top of the Eastern Conference. They sit on the very top of expected goal differential. They're sitting right now six with 2.21. I mean, they're sitting right behind, Cincinnati with 2.45. Don't want to get into DC United. That's a fun conversation that we can get into in a little bit, but I don't want to go down that hole. They are so good from a G plus perspective. They are sitting right behind both DC and Cincinnati in goals added differential. This is a complete team, and like set aside who's going to score a goal. They have so many different guys that are attacking friendly that are so very talented from an attacking perspective that are going to create chances. You don't have to worry about who is the guy. They have a flood. They have a mess of guys right now. And what's really crazy is right now for G plus, their leader is Forsberg, but right behind everybody else is Frankie Amaya. Like Frankie Amaya is coming in really hard. He's the only player so far that's played over 400 minutes in that like trio, and he's just throwing down, dude. Like he's having a really, really underrated season as kind of a workman eight type, and I think that really brings everything together so that when they have, Morgan at the 9, or, as an undersized 9, or they have, Elias Mantle up there, whoever they're going to throw at the top, whether that's one of like 5 different people right now, you can legitimately do it and get away with it and be a consistently good team, because they have so many different talented players that don't necessarily have to be the linchpins behind as well. And, Matt Doyle went into this. They're not necessarily the hoof it forward and go, go, go energy drink soccer. They are playing a very developed type of soccer to where they're looking for early chances, but they're being patient. They're showing more patience than what they have in the times past. And I think that kind of goes with some of the more developed and mature pieces that they do have in midfield. Whereas beforehand, they've been playing younger players that just completely can hoof it and can play 96, 97 minutes of just running up and down the field. Now they're playing a little bit more mature, and they're playing a little bit more reserved in certain aspects of the game. And they're finding those shots, and they're just dominating that shot ratio right now, and they're finding better shots than their opponents on a consistent basis. This is a team that's going to either finish in the top 3. They may even finish in within Shield rankings right now. This is a very, very strong team.
Yeah, I was gonna plug Doyle's like weekly roundup that he does. There's like 10 things, but there's more than 10 things.
Right.
He did a really good breakdown about what the Red Bull are doing differently. I did find it funny that his first clip was like, look at all the tiki taka they're playing. Like the clip was literally titled Red Bull Tiki Taka. And it's like this nice intricate buildup. And then Lewis Morgan shoots it from 25 yards into the top corner. And I was like, yeah, sure. Tiki taka.
Tiki taka the sense. I'm impressed you didn't boot it 20 yards from us.
Well, I mean, small victories, right? It's like small victories when it comes
to that culture.
Yeah, the thing that I've been mostly impressed is actually the defensive side of things, where like they have been so pressy for so long that like come the playoffs, it can be like they have not, and I don't want to criticize them last year because they were actually really good against FC Cincinnati and probably a little bit unlucky to go out. I mean, they were unlucky, they lost in a shootout. But they have struggled in the playoffs because I think contextually, like there are games and moments where you cannot press, where like it's the 88th minute and you've been pressing and you are up 1-0. Like you do not have the legs to do this properly. Like sit in, be compact, whatever. And so far they have been like a very mid-block counter team, which is a really nice string in your bow to have. Like everybody makes fun of me because I say every team in MLS and NWSL should play 4-4-2 suffer ball, but like it is a really useful string to have in your bow.
And Frankie Amaya is second. I knew he was second. I was looking at G plus, or excuse me, expected goals plus expected assists. He's sitting second right now, behind Forsberg, and not by very much. So he's killing it on goals added. I
Ben,
really want to plug him.
Ben, I want to ask you about this because you and I have talked about like players that G plus doesn't like and figuring out why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember this, but like when Amaya got traded to the Red Bull, we like kind of unanimously panned the trade, being like, why are they giving up so much money for this like young player who had like tragic goals added? Like I think his first season in FCC was like minus 0.14 per 96. Like it was terrible.
Well, what era of FEC are we talking about
there? No, for sure. They were
for
sure they were terrible. But I think historically even his Red Bull seasons have not popped so much on G plus. But I know like he's a player, if you talk to people with the Red Bull or you talk to people around the Red Bull, they really like him in a variety of roles. So I'm curious what you see, like what is it maybe that doesn't connect about his game with G plus, or like that he does that G plus doesn't pick up?
I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've watched Amaya really closely. But when I think of him, I think of fast and energetic, and I think that was the case with Cincinnati. And so I think he's a system guy. Like I think Red Bulls gave up so much allocation cash. Like I think it was not much less than what they gave Miami for Lewis Morgan.
I think it was $1 million for a
for
lot.
my I think it was, maybe they like split it up over years or something,
Yeah.
but it was a lot, and I think it's because he fits the model in that way. Like they're not super pressy right now, but you still need, like, when the ball's in front of you, you still need to get there. You're still going to have those triggers, so you don't have to press like just in front of the opponent's box, but as soon as they cross that halfway line, that's where their block is, and that's where you're going to face that line of confrontation. So I think being able to cover ground was probably the biggest asset that they saw in him. And they didn't, if they knew what Cincinnati was like at the time, they're like, we shouldn't look at those numbers because those are so team dependent. And I think that may be part of it, is how much of G plus is team dependent. We really aren't sure yet.
Yeah, that's the team
So-
strength.
That's a
effects.
great shout, man.
The team strength effects in G plus can be pretty gnarly, and that's where stuff like G plus boost is really interesting. And net G plus, like Mike's article this summer, can be really, really illuminating. Ben, what is your going to persist small sample size thing?
So I'm going to one of our absolute favorite hobby horses at ASA. So I'm looking at the team goal added difference. And at the top, we've got Cincinnati at nearly 3 goals added difference. And second to last is Nashville at negative 3.62.
Oh, wow.
And at last, we've got Austin FC at a whopping negative 0.1.
Yes.
0.1. What are we doing?
Sorry, did you say minus 6?
Minus 6.1
Minus 6.
goal added differential
So,
after 5 games.
I'm going to add some context here, just for like people who are maybe not in the weeds of the models. Goals added roughly comes in at like 3/4 of an expected goal. So like one expected goal is roughly 3/4 of a G plus. I think that's roughly the conversion. For you to be a minus 6 G plus team in 6 games, you are a USL team, maybe.
I mean, they
might lose to their next pro team.
I've no idea. Like, so their offensive goals added is only at 2.57. That is half a goal below Houston, which is at 3.05 for the next one. Their goals added against is third worst, just behind Miami and New England, and it's pretty. It's 9.24 for Miami and 8.67 for Austin. So just like the worst in both categories.
So I ask you, as a team with the worst G plus 4 in the whole league, aren't you happy that you're paying Sebastian Driussi $10 million? Aren't you happy that he had a one hot finishing season and you paid him like he's Messi?
Yeah.
Pretty great.
It's pretty rough down there, I think.
Okay, it's really fun to bask in the glory of that moment. But let's set that aside for like 50 seconds and just think how bad the rest of that team has to be on top of him.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's fun to kick that horse. Like, I love kicking that horse.
Well, I feel good.
There's so many bad components. Like, they're bringing, like, what are they doing? What, like, the entire attack? What are they doing?
So yeah, I was about to get to that from my fandom perspective, which is 2022 Rapids, kind of unlucky, kind of had a good offense. Who were the starting attackers? Giassi Zardes and Rubio. And they were on the wrong side of 30 right around then and about to decline. And now we're 2 years later and they are the starting attackers for Austin FC. And they were, with respect to those two, you put in hard work for my club, but Austin, what the hell are you doing?
So I have 2 questions. So one, I thought that Austin actually might figure some stuff out this year because Rodolfo Borrell, who is their like director of football, basically said like, hey, this team was not that good the year they came second, have been really, really lucky. We need to change some stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this guy's like aware that they're actually not a good team. Like, he's going to clean house and like do something. They didn't clean house. They didn't get rid of anybody. So I don't really know what that's about. So that's not even a question. That was just a statement. The question is, Ben, you're a Rapids fan, and the Rapids have been not great. How many players, like who from Austin would you take for your team? Because
Go
I
on.
look at TFC, who I think are like not a great team, but are doing okay. And like I look at that team, I'm like, who would I take?
No one.
Brad Stuver?
Gallagher. That's
Maybe.
the only one.
Well,
Yeah, Gallagher.
again,
Gallagher's probably it. Gallagher's probably it.
but
Maybe
again,
maybe
like
the D mid.
Drewsy's been injured. Drewsy's been injured. He hasn't been able to play, so that's a huge part of it. Yes, you're playing. You're playing. Giazzi Zardi's way more than what you had planned on. I don't think Rubio's still a bad player. Rubio
No,
still
he's not.
has some interesting stuff. He takes a
Yeah,
lot of
but this
bad
is
shots,
not.
but
Yeah, but like if he's your third worst attacker, sure. But like
sure.
this is not like 5 years ago, sure.
I
But
mean,
like we are now at a point where like how many teams?
Regiononi is the guy that they needed.
Oh,
That's
he
the guy that
honks. He
I
honks.
mean,
Get rid of him.
what are
That
we
guy's
doing here?
horrible.
How is he still here 2 years later? We knew he was terrible 2 years. Like
No, I'll tell you why
Brucey,
he's
like
still here. He's still here because nobody will pay his wages because I'm sure he makes $3 million and
oh
nobody
yeah,
will
he's
pay
on
him
a
that.
DP, for sure. But that's why you have to cut ties. Like you could
Buyouts
literally
exist.
Yeah, but
buyouts exist
yeah,
exactly.
but how
You
many
could.
teams are going to eat $3 million for a player to not play for them? Like
I mean,
the
Matthew
only
McConaughey's
team
been in some good movies lately, so
the only two teams that have historically shown the appetite to like eat massive wages on buyouts are TFC
Galaxy.
and the Galaxy. Like those are the only teams.
That's it.
There's been so there's look.
I've been a couple.
I would forget about that. The
But
people that I
Austin
don't
are
care
rich. They
about
should
paying. I was just gonna say
yeah,
the
they should
people I
not care.
don't care about paying out of pocket wages. Anthony Precourt sits at the very
Yeah.
top of that damn list.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if he goes broke on this team. In fact, there is a part of me that
Maybe
hopes
press from
so badly that he does.
I don't
Like, I
think
hope
many. I don't think many pre 2016 MLS fans are going to be rooting for Austin in any.
No, and look, it's not that I dislike Austin, their fan base, their culture. They have some really cool things going on there.
For
I
sure.
just absolutely hate their owner, and the fact that their owner doesn't want to pay up for a mistake that was made, and it's a mistake. Let's just be clear, it was a mistake. You got a very bad player. You overpaid him way too much. You need to cut. Like Sebastian Drusi, he's still going to produce for you. He's going to produce. He's not going to score 20 goals. He will score 10. He will help create maybe 15 total. That's not bad. That's a plus in this league.
Yeah. They also like have never really had a third DP. Like they've had Driussi and Rigoni, and like I think at one point like maybe Zardes was a DP, or like no, Alex Ring was a DP.
Yeah, Ring was the DP.
He's not anymore, but like I don't even know. I think it's just Rigoni and Driussi now. I don't know if they had like a striker or anything like that. I just like don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I like whatever. TFC were terrible, but at least they tried to not be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have a lot of opportunities to go get something that's better than Alex Ring, that's a 6, that's going to be able to do stuff. They've had to bring, I mean, obviously Ring wasn't able to keep up. They've had to move him back to center back. They don't have anybody on that defensive line.
Center back has been an issue for 3 seasons. They played Kip Keller, Amro Tarek against Violette with a tree in the background a year ago, and they didn't add any center backs. They sold the center back. They sold that Johansson guy. So like I don't know, whatever. This is more air than that. I just don't know.
But yeah, I didn't even say my perpetual. Austin are getting the spoon, folks. Austin are getting the spoon.
we were so ready to jump on how bad they were. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty locked in thing. Any other weird things before we get to the G Plus draft results and some trivia? Anything else? Yeah, Harrison, shoot.
DC United and Montreal have basically thrown defense to the wind and are just killing it on the attack. And they are doing awesome, and they're a lot of fun. And Montreal is good, and I told you that they were going to be good, and you rolled your eyes at me, and I'm going to stop up and down. But I am so excited for DC. My buddy Jay, God bless you. You are a long-suffering DC United fan, my friend. This team is really, really stinking good. Montreal, I'm honestly on the fence. DC knows what they're not good at and doesn't care and just puts everything into their attack. And they're such a fun attacking team. Like, go.
Yeah,
go.
No, I was sort of thinking along those, like, we have the teams and their goals added up in front of us. Top is Cincinnati. Some questions, but defensive really, really good. They're probably going to stay that way. Montreal, good, but lots of questions. DC and Red Bulls, I think, are the teams at the top that I have the least questions about. I think they're just going to be really good. And they'll probably be in the top 4 of the East for the rest of the season.
Yeah, who knew? Like, just having a big striker who scores goals is good.
The game model helps. I will say Lucene, I think, was the perfect hire for the game model. I've enjoyed the striker they had. So
yeah, I want to shout out DC for they posted like 10 analytics jobs today, or this week. Yeah, they posted like a whole raft of them. So
I guess they failed to hire the one I applied to.
So I will
hire Ben.
Okay, here's absolutely. Hey, this is Ben's public resume. Ask questions.
My portfolio, folks.
Hey, look, teams who hire ASA people do well. I'm just putting it out there. No, so here's a hypothetical for you, Harrison, since you wanted to talk about Montreal. There is a lot of buzz about Mr. Wilfred Nancy leaving in the summer. Southampton is one. There's a few others that are maybe not public, but I'd say there's a pretty good chance he leaves in the summer. How funny would it be if Columbus just hired Laurent Courtois back?
Oh, they should.
Montreal?
They 100% should.
They would.
And
Saputo would take the cash.
Yes,
that's what I was just thinking.
They'll trade 2 first-round picks and $500K in allocation, and it'll be a done deal, man. It'll be the best transfer fee for manager Saputo's ever got. Alrighty, Ben, give us the G Plus draft update.
All right. We have at third place Mr. Kieran at 0.14 Doyle's.
Daniel, get out of here.
Because of Daniel. It's all his fault. If we go to the players, he has negative 2.64 goals added. Perfectly balancing out Christian Benteke. Is it? Oh,
yeah.
I just ran this. So I think they may have corrected something in the data that got updated in my model today. That is completely balancing out Christian Benteke, the number 1 G plus earner in the league right now, who Kieran also has. So it's still
perfectly balanced as all things
should be. Just right at that 0. Kieran, we were trying to go over average, but we'll see if Daniel can pick it up. Harrison is second at 0.59. And I am still.
Am I in the positive?
You are in the positive. Everyone's in the positive now.
Oh, I thought Daniel was still negative.
No, he's at positive 0.14.
I thought Daniel was doing more work for me than what I.
I am at positive 2.29.
Oh my God, you're running away with that. I guess Buonga
it's early still,
a big weekend.
You, Harrison has Buonga. I've got Pooj at 0.8. I've got Berkey at 0.83. Cucho at 0.66.
Yeah, you're loving life.
That's it for me. Then I've got Brian White at 0.16. So
he just got injured too. So hopefully that's not serious. Alrighty,
can we talk about when's he gonna play?
Who?
Robbie Robinson. That's what I want to know. When's he gonna play? We just got done talking about how when Miami doesn't have Messi, they have nobody running.
You're right. When they don't have
Messi, this is the thing is I really tried to do my homework of, is Robbie Robinson still a Miami player? And I was assured he was. So. Don't know.
I agree with your model. He's really interesting. He's a fun dude. I would like to see him play.
Yeah, I did 2 stages. I tried to predict minutes, and I tried to predict per minute G plus.
One of those predictions did not go well.
Well, Robbie Robinson had pretty wide error bars on both of those. So.
Yeah, and you just leaned into it. I love that.
Fuck it.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I love that so much. But I mean, this is going to be another situation to where some other team comes and throws does the minimal amount, for you look at Carranza, who's up in Philadelphia and been great for them. Holy crap, dude, this is going to be another situation to where the worst part about this is that like Robinson's going to sit on the bench for like 3-4 years,
Yep.
and then eventually have an opportunity somewhere, which is that's so bogus. That's is really a bad taste in my mouth.
Fran, if you're listening, please do something to help my guy.
Yeah, didn't we say like Philadelphia would trade from? Incredible. Well, perfect for a small sample size episode. That brings us to our last section. We're going to do some trivia. We haven't done trivia yet this season, right?
Balls.
Okay. Well, we're going back to it. Ian had a very strong record versus Harrison. So Harrison, this is your chance for redemption to earn
with the fresh meat.
Yeah, you get to start at 0-0 and you're ready to go. Ben, no pressure. You're gonna kill it. Alrighty, so we've got 6 questions. You can choose your question. I've also added a new format of question and that I'm very excited about. So, Ben, as the newcomer, I'm gonna let you have first pick at our questions. 1 to 6. Which one do you want?
1.
Alrighty, number 1. Starting off easy. The top 3 in total G Plus added so far this season are all strikers, one of whom was featured in our G Plus draft. Can you name 2 of them?
Christian Benteke. The other,
Correct.
I believe, is Joveljic, that I could think of.
Dejan Joveljic is in the top 3. He's 3rd. Second is Montreal striker Matthias Kokoro. Who I think is there because he won 2 penalties. So Ben, you're up 2-0.
Don't hate.
A good start to our trivia. Harrison, you're up 2-6.
Let's go for
Dejan Joveljic. He leads the league in X points at 3.94. Sorry, X points added at 3.94 through 5 matches. So his goals have added 4 points for the LA Galaxy. Pretty huge. Over under. So Harrison, you can either set the line and have Ben guess, or you can have Ben set the line and you can guess over under. But if he gets it exactly, he gets the points. Over under, how many players added more X points through the entire 2023 season? So 3.94 points.
3.94.
Who had more than that in 2023? Are you going to set the line, Harrison, or are you going to let Ben take a crack at it?
I'll give Ben the opportunity to set the line.
All right, Ben, set the line. How many players do you think had more than 3.94 X points added through the entire 2023 season?
7.
7. Harrison, you're going to go over or
under?
You're going to go under. Well, that's very unfortunate because the answer is 36.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Oops.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. I expected the number to be really low as well, and then it was more than
like
a full
lot
page.
of points.
Yeah, the top X points adders are generally like 10 to 15. So you got a pretty big range into that. But 36 points through 5 games, you add more points than I think there's 400-ish MLS players who play every year. So you're in the top 10% through 5 games. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt that LA coughs up a lot of goals for there to be ties broken, but
bro, I think he has 4 goals from 6 XG already. Something crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, anyways, he's
LA's cracked.
He's
Galaxy's
been really
cracked.
good. Yeah.
2-0. Ben holds on to his lead. Ben, what question do you want?
Let's go 6.
Alrighty. Yes, our new format of question. So here's how this is going to work. MLS journeyman striker Chad Barrett has played over 250 games across 7 MLS clubs. How many can you name? You are going to bid a number of teams. Harrison can either call you on it and say you have to name that many, or he can bid higher than you, and then you have the opportunity to call him or bid. So he has 7 total teams. How many of those do you think you can name, Mr. Chad Barrett?
Chad Barrett. 2.
All right, Harrison.
Let's start low.
Do you think he cannot name 2, or are you going to bid higher?
I think I can name 3.
All right, are you going to call him on 3, or can you name 4?
I think I can name 3. Yeah, that's what I was.
I already bid
I
3.
know. I'll go 4. I'll go 4.
Ooh.
All right, call it. Go. Yours.
All right.
All right. Can you name 4? Go ahead, Ben.
Seattle,
That is 1.
DC.
That is unfortunately incorrect. Harrison, I'll give you a crack at 3. How many of the rest can you name?
Toronto.
That is 1.
And then a Galaxy.
Also 1. There's 3 of 7. How many others can we get?
I feel like San Jose.
That also in there?
And he wasn't ever really an East Coast guy, was he? Besides Toronto, I don't remember. I don't know.
Was he in Houston?
No. So in order, Chicago Fire, which I think is his most games. Toronto, Galaxy, New England, Seattle, San Jose,
New
RSL.
England.
He played
RSL. You would have thought that I would have got that. I knew that there was one more. I knew that there's
I have
one
no
more
memory
West.
of this.
3 games for RSL in 2017. Harrison, you take the steal on that one, 2-1. You can go up 3-2 here. As a reminder, if you get your own question correct, it's 2 points. If you steal, it's only 1. Harrison, you are up. You've got 2, 3, or 5.
Go 2.
Alrighty, this player leads all of MLS in passing G+ by nearly 50% more than Lionel Messi, who is in second place. However, almost all of it comes from 1 pass, an assist on a .93 XG shot in week 1. Who is it? So they assisted a tap in week 1, .93 XG. Big G+ passing number.
Well, so the 2 that I'm probably thinking of is either DC, because Benteke, who would have assisted him.
He did have a tap in week 1. I can confirm that happened.
I remember that. I think Jovovic also had a tap in, and so it's either DC or the Galaxy, and I don't know who would have given it off to each. Puig would be the only person that I could think of, but that doesn't make sense for all of his to be locked up in that. So it's not Puig.
I'm gonna have to push you for an answer.
Yeah, who's the other center midfielder? Who's the 6th? Who's the 6th for the Galaxy that we love? I don't know. I have no idea. I give up. Don't shoot me.
All right, Harrison concedes after saying the 6 for the Galaxy, but not giving us a name. Ben, would you like to steal?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I don't think it's the 6 for the Galaxy. I think it's Click. No,
it's not Click. It is the 6 for the Galaxy. It's Marky Delgado. Marky Delgado plus 0.7.
That's not who I thought it was. But...
Were you thinking Brugman?
Yeah,
he's still hurt, isn't he?
Yeah, he just came back. Marky Delgado rebound, a shot rebound, and then scored it for Jovic into an empty net for like 0.4 G+ passing or something crazy.
Insane.
Alrighty, Harrison, you squandered your opportunity. I thought you had it.
That's such a weird thing. That's X passing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ben, number 3 or number 5?
Let's do 3.
Already riddled by poor goalkeeping for the organization's entire existence, this team leads the league in goalkeeper XG over performance this year, even if it is split across 2 goalkeepers. So the team, not the goalkeeper, because they've had 2 play.
Team have had 2 goalkeepers play.
Together, they've been the best by a lot.
They generally have really bad keeping.
They have indeed generally had very bad keeping. Their whole existence, bad keeping.
So that can't be that long. Gosh. Just gonna go through my expansion teams. Not Miami, not Orlando, not NYCFC. They're coming back to Austin, but I don't think they're Stuver. I mean, no, Stuver's been doing okay. I'm gonna say Austin.
Brad Stuber, historical XG beater. He is not leading the league, and their team is not leading the league in XG over
Oh, you're
points
right.
from their goalkeepers.
You're right.
And I don't think their second keeper has played. Harrison, would you like to
Okay.
steal to level it up 2-2? Two keepers playing. Historically
Uh,
bad goalkeeping. You may
Chicago
have
Fire.
No, it's unfortunately not the Fire. What I was going to say was you might have some extra insight because you traded
It's the
for the only
Sounders.
good
Oh
goalkeeper
no.
this team had in Stefan Fry, who came from Toronto FC. Sean Johnson and Luka Gavron combined for
Oh,
+5 on their XG, which is
really?
probably not super
Wow.
sustainable.
No,
Maybe
and
not.
it's probably explains why they're doing as well. That well,
Yeah,
there's a lot of reasons why they're
yeah.
probably sitting where they're sitting.
They
But
were
I
excellent
don't mean to
against.
trigger you.
No, they were excellent against Atlanta this weekend, so I can't complain. I do think, as a quick aside before we get to the last question, I do think Luka Gavron will be like an excellent XG beater his whole career. He
How old is
destroyed
Gavron?
23.
It's young. Yeah.
He's from the same hometown as me.
Oh,
But
Hey.
he destroyed his XG in college and was very good in X Pro. I think, will
nice.
be an excellent goalkeeper. And he's been really good this year. Alrighty, last question is number 5, a little fun one. And this one is for Harrison. Through 5 games with a minimum of 5 attempts, there are 5 players who are yet to win a header. Not a shock that none of them are over 6 feet. Just name one of them.
Marky Delgado.
That was real. That was real quick. It would have been real bold of me to have 2 Marky Delgado answers. Not correct though. Yeah, so not over 6 feet tall, but they have attempted 5 headers. Ben, would you like to steal? And I mean, you've already won, but you can get the consolation 3-1.
Some
Tap in
garbage,
it.
some garbage time goals.
Yeah. Get that sub effects.
I don't think I'm gonna get this. But let's just say Diego Rubio.
Oh, can I if he's wrong, can I get a second? Can I get a second?
He is wrong. I'll give you both a second guess again. Harrison, go ahead.
All right.
Oh, I thought you had a name right at the tip
No,
of your
I did.
tongue.
I didn't. It just left my brain.
I'll say this: none of them are that short. They're not tall, but none of them are short.
You said that under 5 feet.
Under
Or
6
under
feet.
6 feet.
6 feet.
Under 6 feet. Hey, that's not short. Be nice to our short kings.
Look, short kings are short kings. I'm not here to
I'll tell you their heights: 5'9", 5'11", 5'9", 5'11", 5'9". That I should probably not say those numbers so fast.
They're the same numbers. Also, I don't believe him anyway. So
Frankie Amaya.
No, he's definitely. I don't know if he's one ahead or not, but he is not on my list of not having one ahead.
All right.
The 5 names: Eric Williamson, Jacob Schaffelberg, Jonathan Osorio, Robin Laud, and Carlos Gomez of RSL. Harrison, you're a fake fan.
Wingers.
Yeah, a lot of wingers in there and midfielders who don't jump. Well, right. Ben, you have continued Ian's legacy of putting Harrison in the trivia dumpster. Sorry, my friend.
I think we both did pretty bad. So, Harrison, I think you're going to have some opportunities.
2-1 is a victory nonetheless.
You'll get better.
Anyways, thank you both for joining me. And thank you all for listening to the American Soccer Analysis Show. I will finish up with saying, check out the Expected Own Goals podcast on the ASA feed. They're dropping their NWSL coverage. They looked at Thorns KC the first week, and then they looked at Bay Spirit and the Gospel of Croy Bethune in today's episode. And of course, if you like the show and you like the site and you like everything that ASA is doing, building a bigger tent, democratizing data, all that sort of stuff, feel free to check out our Patreon. It's 1 tier, $5 a month. You get access to the ASA Discord. There's been a lot of fun conversations in there about all the games that are going on, whether it's USA or MLS or NWSL or March Madness or whatever. Sometimes people are talking about World of Warcraft in there. It's a great time. But it really helps on the website. We make a loss on this lovely thing. So support us however you feel you wish. Anyways, that's all from us this week. We'll see you in 2 weeks with some slightly larger sample sizes. Take care and have a good evening.
The people go on to comment on the game. They'll look at possession and look at shots and all kinds of other metrics that have very little to do with heart and courage and commitment to one another. It's okay that we don't have 150 passes in 30 minutes. It's okay that we don't have 150 shots on goal. This game is about winning, it's about thinking the game. The people have lost the plot with all this passing and shooting percentages. And if you shoot from here, score if you do it 12 times. Well, I'ma tell you what, the stats were wrong tonight. The stats will lose to the human spirit. People who want to comment on the game, they'll look at possession and look at shots and all kinds of other metrics that have very little to do with heart and courage and commitment to one another. It's okay that we don't have 150 passes in 30 minutes. It's okay that we don't have 150 shots on goal. This game is about winning, it's about thinking the game. The people have lost the plot with all this passing and shooting percentages. And if you shoot from here, score if you do it 12 times. Well, I'ma tell you what, the stats were wrong tonight. The stats will lose to the human spirit. The stats will lose to the human spirit.